like to thank a number of people for this great honor. I'll try to not choke up too much. First, I'd like to thank the board, Tara, and the others for giving me this award. It's very much appreciated. I'd like to thank my family. My wife Sheena's here, my sons Kyle and Evan, who couldn't be here, who've been my greatest supporters over the years. I couldn't have gotten here without them. Next, I'd like to thank my partners in IR at UHN. I've been very fortunate to work with a great group of interventional radiologists. Those I work with now, and also those who have come and gone over the years. Banco, over there. I have been blessed with very talented and dedicated, hardworking partners who always supported me and each other. And we have always worked extremely well together. It's surprising when you get to meet these guys. And we've also had to work with great referring clinicians. Most of the current radiologists at JDMI were hired by me, along with my other partners. And I'm happy to say that every single IR that I've hired has turned out to be more talented than me. You should never be afraid to surround yourself with better people. I am very proud to be surrounded by such great colleagues. As John F. Kennedy used to say quite often, a rising tide raises all boats. It is a great weight off on shoulders to know that when you're not on call, that the person on call is looking after your patients with great skill and compassion, so you can go off on your ski trip and not worry that patients aren't being neglected. And last, I'd like to thank the fellows, residents, trainees, medical students, nurses, all the people that I've had the chance to teach over the years. The fellows in particular make this job so much more interesting. The 150 fellows or so. How many were there? You didn't count. You just made this slide? Okay. No, that was real. I saw some names that were made up in there. Of all the talented and hardworking, there were a few exceptions, but none of them are in the room today. They've stimulated me to be better, to get more involved in research, have always kept me on my toes. Mentoring the fellows has been one of the greatest joys of my career. It gives me great pleasure to see our previous fellows all over the world having great success in their careers and becoming leaders in our association and their institutions. And as was said, I feel like it multiplies our contributions. When I look back at the history of IR in Canada, I remember back to the early days, 1982, when I was a resident at UBC with the likes of Lindsay McCann and Peter Monk, both who couldn't be bothered to show up today. In those days, IR was called special procedures. There was no IR. When we came to work in the morning, there would be orders from physicians and surgeons to do direct carotid punctures, translumbar aortograms, pneumoencephalograms, various silograms, things like that. These were orders, they weren't requests. And sometimes they were not even discussed in advance. We would often meet the patient for the first time in the hallway and saw the patient for the last time as we walked out of the room. Come a long way. And Dr. Patel gave an excellent review, stole half of my stuff. I don't know how I got into a computer, but he made an excellent talk this morning about how we've come a long way. We're now consultants with clinics. And we have administrative assistants and clinical nurses. We accept requests for consultation from our referring clinicians and take over the care of the patients. We see them in clinic. We do their imaging and lab tests. We arrange the procedure. We book anesthesia. We book the beds. We do the procedure, and then we follow up as necessary, sometimes for years. The patients now are identifying us as their primary doctor and say, who looks after us? Dr. Simons. And we round on patients on the ward. And we have formal documented M&M rounds. We run like a surgical specialty. And our opinions are respected. We're now doing consultations. What do you think about this case? Not, do you want to do an angioplasty? Give us an opinion. So, yes, the patient needs an angioplasty, but we actually see them and talk about things that we would never talk about in the past. CAIR. CAIR is a great forum for interventional radiologists across the country to share their concerns and successes. We help each other in developing programs and lobby for increases in fees. I know of many of the great programs in IR in this country due to contacts I've made through this meeting. This has helped often in my clinical practice. I have friends in other cities I'll call for advice when their knowledge of, let's say, AVMs or something is needed. And I've sent patients to other AVM clinics and received patients from other AVM clinics. All the notes, phone each other and talk about it. Adnan's managed some of my prostate patients in Ottawa. It's a great thing that's come from this. The creation of a Royal College subspecialty in IR was one of CAIR's great achievements and a great moment for me. As was alluded to, the four of us, Lindsay, Steve Millward, Murray Ash and myself got together. There may have been some alcohol involved, and we decided that we should have formal drinking amongst all Canadian radiologists, and we decided that this was the way to do it. But the Royal College application was very important, and it couldn't have happened without Mary Frost-Drew. Where's Mary Frost? Here, yeah, Mary Frost-Drew had a lot to do with Part 2, and has got us where we are today. Just as an aside, and Dr. Patel, take note, I hate the name interventional radiology with passion. These are two words that have no business in the same sentence. It's like fish bicycle. How do you put these two words together? Like, what does it mean? All of you know the feeling. You're at a party, and someone asks you, oh, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a doctor. Oh, what kind of doctor? I'm an interventional radiologist. You all know what happens next. You watch your eyes cloud over, and your faces go blank, and your jaw drops down. At that point, one of four things happens. They change the subject. They tell you they have no idea what that means. Say how they met a radiologist when they were pregnant and had their obstetric ultrasound. Or they turn around and start talking to someone else. It's not, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. I like image-guided surgery. I think that ship's sailed. In summary, I've had a very satisfying career and have seen so many wonderful changes to our specialty over the years. I've always loved this meeting and all the great colleagues that I've come to know and call friends over the years. As I look around this room and see so many capable, hardworking, and motivated colleagues, I am very optimistic for the future of IR.